Peacemaker is the new iteration from the DC universe. And James Gunn is the spearhead of these projects. And this seems to be his baby that transferred over from the old DCEU to the new DC universe. And he's kind of using this to set up Superman, the sequel. And those were his words. And so we are at the tail end of the series on HBO. And James Gunn is giving us some hints as to what we can expect in the finale and also how this will set up the DCU moving forward. I know that you got to do a mass catch up with the series and you got to watch the penultimate episode, Like a Keith in the Night. And we got to see Vigilante, meet his doppelganger, despite, the ridiculousness that ensued. Yes. Gunn was quick to say that the character isn't purely comedic in his eyes. As for the Earth X Vigilantes, costume being identical, the mannerisms being identical, the filmmaker did explain that there's so much alike and those suits are really expensive. So they ended up having to just use one of the suits that they already had for the other. So they couldn't really switch it up too much. He also did confirm that DCU's Vigilante, and I do want to keep in mind, because we both got to the penultimate episode, because it is Monday and has been several days since Thursday, since the episode dropped, I do want to mention that we are going to talk about this in spoiler discussion. I am not a spoiler type person, and so I like giving a warning. Once the spoiler is down, then you can, unmute, turn back in. But I do want to let you know we will be talking about this in spoiler review. You have been warned. That being said, Gunn also confirmed that the DCU's Vigilante stabbing Augie Smith to death, but dismissed the notion of any silly switcheroos with characters trading places on their respective Earths. Gunn added, people keep asking if Chris can forgive Vigilante. I think Chris only blames himself for all of this. Mm-hmm. The Superman Helmer also was later quizzed about how he feels to see his wife, Jennifer Holland's Amelia Harcourt, intimate with John Cena's Peacemaker. And he said, I actually love this romantic scene. There's nothing actually intimate about it. He's referring to, I believe they're on the motorcycle and it's finally the moment where Harcourt embraces Peacemaker and kind of holds him. And it's a really happy moment. And he said, they're being towed on the back of a truck. It's very technical. As a former actor, I know how dispassionate most of it is. So he kind of put that to rest. But
isn't there I thought there was a scene too where she woke up, they were in bed together too. Maybe I think that's more intimate than her holding onto him in a motorcycle.
Which scene is that? I mean, you
it was the
the 3
alternate
7 in a
it was the alternate Harcourt. Oh, maybe it was another. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah. It was the Earth X. I mean, waking up is not in the midst of doing the dirty deed. You know what I mean?
Right. So, sure.
But
neither was riding a motorcycle.
I just want to ask you, because you did do like a deep dive from episode 3 through episode 7. I just want to ask you specifically though about episode 7. What is your overall feelings of the episode? Do you also think it did a good enough job to set up the finale of the show and subsequently the future of the DCU, as James Gunn keeps repeating?
I mean, yeah. I mean, so when I wanted to try and catch up on Peacemaker so that I could be up to date, especially with talking with you. I was a little like, oh, okay, because those first two episodes in particular was, and I think we were texting back and forth about it. It was a little too like hard R, hammer on the head for me, and yeah. I get it, like, how I would change it, I don't know, but it was just a bit too much, at least for my own personal taste. So the idea of watching 4 more episodes of that was like, and that's
Seemed like
kind of
exhausting.
yeah, kind of why my interest in the series waned.
Okay.
But from, I guess it was from episode 4 on, I felt like it like settled into the rhythm and kind of the tone of what makes the show good. And I got hooked, you know? So long story short, at the end of episode 7, I was like, okay, I can't wait to see the finale of this series. I thought it was really good. I think it left on a great ending or cliffhanger, if you will, at the end of episode 7 of setting us up of like, how are they going to wrap this up? What's going to happen to all these characters? And it was really dramatic, you know, like I think that was probably, as we've seen John Cena's cred increase every episode, his acting
Yeah.
chops. Episode 7, I think, was his best episode of like, oh, like it was just everything he was wrestling with internally was played out in front of his eyes. And he really had to come to grips with so much of his own actions and where his character was, even all the way from the first season
Right.
up to facing the reality of
Even from the first Suicide Squad movie, you know, with him in it.
absolutely. Yeah, they've been hammering that home, like of, you know, the death of Flag Jr.
Right.
Like that, they've just been hanging that over his head, and that's been a main plot point. And so, yeah, I think that was great. Even when he was, that whole scene where that dad Flag Senior was like wailing. Well, I don't know. Was that episode 7? So sorry, these are all
No, that was
together.
before. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
was
When
it?
he does the knee into the face.
Oh
like,
my gosh. It was like it got replaced with like a dummy or something, I hope, because it
was
looked so
terrible.
brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was really bad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, I think John Cena's acting prowess has taken another level in the scene where his brother is basically getting killed in front of him by arguably his real family that love him the most.
Yeah.
It is such a jarring scene, and he's sitting back kind of seeing it all happen, and then he lets out this scream that is so like guttural and like weird that it's
Primal.
like, yeah, it's so primal that it was just such a beautiful thing to see how far John Cena has come as an actor. And then when he's like, get off of him, and he's like, what are we doing? Like, what have we become? You know, like, what are we?
Yeah.
It was, I forgot the exact words, but it was like, wow. Like,
And I liked how they tied that into him as a kid watching from the original timeline or universe or whatever.
Yeah,
watching his brother die.
Yeah, I mean it's another way of him losing his brother. So it harkens back to him killing his own brother when they were little kids in his universe to now his loved ones killing his brother in front of him in this alternate universe. And it was a very like juxtaposition of the two situations coming to a head, and it was such beautiful writing and storytelling. And
but I think the thing I liked about it too is it made sense, right? Like his brother, when I saw this playing out in that that final climax of his brother like not like coming to this realization of he's not going to let this go. He's going to come after them. Like it made sense for that character that his brother felt betrayed or like, you know, shocked, and that he was not going to stop. He wasn't going to let it go. And you knew, oh my gosh, this is going to end badly. You know, and it was great, not just for Peacemaker or Chris, but it was for his brother too. His brother's character arc was really great to see, and that actor, he played it really well. Like,
yeah, he did a really good job
trying to understand, wait, what's going on? This is not my real brother. What did you do? Wait, oh my gosh, I'm being betrayed. And just like, what are you doing? I'm gonna kill you. Like getting so angry. I was like, wow, it was really great.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Denman is his last name
Mm.
from The Office fame,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he even said, when he got the call from James Gunn, it added like 5 to 10 years onto his life. He was like, I was done acting. Like, he's
Oh,
like, when I got that call, it was like really special to him. And so I think he took full advantage of the opportunity, and in his eyes and the way he acted in these scenes, you could really tell like the hurt, and it was just so beautiful to see. And
yeah, that
I
hurt.
think James Gunn just speaks to how well he casts. It's not just one of his longtime friends, because he was married to Pam from The
Yeah,
Office.
yeah, yeah.
It's not just his wife as Hardcore. It's the right actors for the role, and you can really tell in these moments that they embody the character more than anyone else that we can imagine could.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really beautiful thing to see. And so, as a director, from James Gunn's point of view, to see his friends fully giving it their all and really showing that like he chose the right actors for the right role, I feel like it's so gratifying to him that like this is the moments that I was waiting for these actors to really embody these characters. And he even mentioned it in the previous episode when Hardcore is talking to Peacemaker and she says, I am fucked up. And he says, I don't care. I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
And James Gunn is still talking about that moment, saying, like, I think that's the best acting my wife has ever done and John Cena has ever done. And it makes me so proud as a director to witness it. And he's like posting it on his Instagram, like as a proud dad. And it's like, it's just a really beautiful thing to see, like, wow, like, what a family this cast has become. And I think that's why it also feels so lived in and so
Mm-hmm.
real, is because they make it seem so natural as these characters, and the writing makes it feel so earned in these moments.
Yeah, yeah.
On top of that, Robert Patrick, our T1000, his acting cannot go unnoticed as well. Him playing Augie, Peacemaker's dad, and in his final moments, you kind of get this glimpse that he is not the bad neo-Nazi guy that we assumed he was based on the universe that he lives in. But he says, if you can fight, all the injustices, and that's great for you, but I need to fight the monsters and demons that are put in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all I can do in my situation that I'm in. And
Mm-hmm.
the way he delivered that, it was like, it gives me chills because it was so beautiful and it was so well delivered. And I think Robert Patrick, goes unnoticed as a great actor because he's in these very niche, Terminator and other things. And so I think we forget how good he is and how long he's been in the game. And I can't speak highly enough about how much he crushes it in Peacemaker.
Well, I think in season one, his character like was the worst of the worst, right? It's like Nazi, like
Bad guy.
bad guy.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting that last speech in episode 7 at all from him. I thought whatever, they would just escape the world and
Right.
that's at the end, right? But for him to have that moment, it almost made me pause of like, is this real or is he gonna like, because he's a bad guy, right? He's a Nazi, but
Yeah.
what
Is
he
he
showed
messing
was
with
like,
them?
yeah, but what
And then it was
is
like,
he going to betray them at the end because he was the one who was like
yeah, no,
instigating, tying
yeah,
up, what's his name, the computer dude, tying him up,
Economos.
Economist, yeah, and he was kind of setting that all up. So I was like,
Right.
he's still not a good dude. It doesn't matter what world he's in, he's still not, a positive character. And
Until
then they gave him that little moment, and I was like, "Is this real? Is this really happening?"
do
And
you
then
think it was our vigilante that jumped through the window and stabbed him, or was it that world's vigilante? Because it wasn't really clear to me in the moment. I did just watch it on Thursday. I know you watched it a little bit after that.
Friday.
What do you
I'm
what do you see it
assuming
as?
I can see them like doing a little switcheroo, like the wrong vigilante went through,
Even though
but
he said there's no switcheroo.
well, But
He's
I
just
I
messing
think
with
it's I
us.
think it's that I think it's their vigilante state, like the right vigilantes in the right world. I think, yeah.
Right.
But but yeah, they could easily like switch it on us, and in that character, vigilante is such a unpredictable character. And like you mentioned at the top of the show, like seeing them meet each other was so funny. That actor's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing character.
He was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and they're the
Yeah,
same
it's like
person in
yeah,
every universe. They're just the
every
same.
exactly
And he
except
also hates Nazis too.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? He's like, "Oh, I hate Peacemaker."
yeah. He's like,
Something
oh,
that
he's
was
my best friend.
yeah, something that was really beautiful too was like when Augie is giving that speech. James Gunn was saying like, I don't think it's like subtle Nazi defiance. I think it is Nazi defiance. Augie's speech is important not only because it reveals who Augie is, but also it speaks to hardcore and economos who have truly spent a lot of their lives as cogs in a corrupt system, rarely fighting it. You know, Augie is not a saint, but I think he taught his kids to subtly fight the system. So he's really disappointed by many of their actions. And Gunn says, I also think Earth X's Chris was a very bad guy. And
Hmm.
so I really think in those moments, he's seeing this Chris, this Peacemaker, just want to be with a family, like a truly loving person. And he tells his son, like, dude, you know how our Chris was. Like, he had a lot of issues. Like, he was messed up in the head. He wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you and like, and I think in that moment, seeing the juxtaposition of this Chris compared to his actual son also showed him like, oh, my son was truly a messed up individual because
Yeah.
this guy, he is just hunting for love and for a family and to be accepted. My Chris couldn't care about anything other than himself and torturing the innocent. And I think it really showed Augie this is really what I wish my Chris would have been. And that's why I really think in those moments he was like, I am going to let him go because that's what my Chris would not have done. And I did not teach you guys to be like that. And
It's kind of a
even when he's like to his son, when the son's like, oh yeah, I chased her down, like the black woman. He's like, why would you do that? I taught you different. You know,
yeah.
he was like shocked even about that. I'm like, oh, maybe he's not like the neo-Nazi we thought, you know?
It's kind of messed up though, because if you think about it, the reason why the our I'm just going to say our version of Peacemaker, the
Right.
current whatever the now version of
Earth One.
Peacemaker, Earth One's version of Peacemaker is searching for a family is because he didn't have one, right?
100%.
And then in the Earth X, that Peacemaker is a jerk, horrible, but he had a family. His brother was there, his dad was there. Apparently, his dad was not the neo-Nazi that he was
Right.
maybe
But he had the
somewhat more.
love.
Yeah, he had the love, and then he turned into this jerk. So, what kind of message is that? It's like, oh, you need a broken family to be a good person to find a real family, and if you have a good family, then you're going to turn into a broken person.
You know, I think that's a good thing to point out because I think it shows that no matter what, if you have the components of the happy family, the loving family, the
Hmm.
friends, if you aren't at peace with yourself inside, then none of that
Peace.
other stuff is going to matter.
Yeah,
And I
it's like
really
a
think James Gunn's writing in this show specifically was very smart and it
yeah.
showed that in a really great way.
Well, it's paralleled to his writing on Superman too, right? It's this like nurture versus nature, right? You can have Superman can have the family from Krypton, but it's really the choices he makes, who he is on the inside,
Right.
that made him Superman, right? That's the message, the ongoing
Yeah.
theme of that. And it's very similar in Peacemaker. He's kind of saying a very similar way, but from a different angle of, like you said, it's not about your environment. It's not about necessarily your biological family. It's about who you are as a person and the choices
Right.
you make as a person. And yes, that can be affected by your external events, but at the end of the day, it's who you are, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great message, and I think you're right. It is rippling through the DCU, and I think that's a great message to ripple through. And I'm very excited to see how this story ends. As it was reported late last week, the final episode will be 57 minutes, so we will get a good conclusion, I think, and also an idea of what Man of Tomorrow will look like and what the DCU will look like moving forward. If it's going to close off this multiverse component of the universe, or if it's going to open it up and be a big indicator of the big event that we're leading to at some point. So I cannot wait to see it. Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, HBO sponsor.